Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Gerald Yamada, President of the Japanese American Veterans Association. Let me call us to order so we may start. Let me first begin by thanking the National Park Service, the Military District of Washington, and Friends of the World War II Memorial for their support of this event. We also thank the National Military Veterans Alliance, the National Japanese American Memorial Foundation, the Japanese American National Museum, and the Japanese American Citizens League for helping us to get the word out about this event. On this day, July 15th, 74 years ago, in 1946, at 12 noon, President Truman reviewed the returning 442nd Regimental Combat Team on the ellipse of the White House. He decorated the 442nd with his 7th Presidential Unit Citation. Over its short history, the 442nd created a combat record that is unmatched. President Truman praised the 442nd by saying, "You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you have won. Keep up that fight, and we will continue to win. To make this great republic stands for just what the Constitution says it stands for, the welfare of all the people, all the time." This was a historic event because the 442 was a segregated all Japanese American combat unit except for its officers. The 442nd was activated in 1943 while 120,000 persons of Japanese ancestry were imprisoned without any administrative due process in War Relocation Authority confinement camps. Volunteers from these camps and Japanese Americans from Hawaii answered the call to form the 442nd in 1943. For those Japanese Americans who were forcibly evacuated from their homes, unjustly imprisoned solely because of their ethnicity, branded as non-aliens by the Roosevelt administration, and asked to declare, despite being American citizens, whether they were loyal to the United States. Joining the 442nd was their opportunity to fight prejudice at home. The federal government's harsh treatment and overt prejudice against them would not diminish their belief in the American dream that brought their immigrant parents to this country. In his salute, President Truman honored the 442nd's valor in fighting America's enemies abroad. More importantly, he congratulated them on winning their fight against prejudice at home. In doing so, President Truman affirmed that the soldiers standing before him were loyal Americans, thereby removing the stigma of being treated as non-aliens. He affirmed that their decision to put country first was the way to win the fight against prejudice. And he affirmed that they were entitled to share in America's opportunities and to receive equal justice under the Constitution. President Truman's salute was the critical turning point for Japanese Americans. It marks the decisive point that Japanese Americans, by keeping their faith in America, started winning the war against prejudice. That is why we call today, July 15th, the day of Affirmation. In addition to serving in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, Japanese Americans also served in the 100th Infantry Battalion from Hawaii, which was activated in 1942 and fought in Italy for 9 months, creating its own exemplary combat record before being attached to the 442nd in 1944. They served in the Military Intelligence Service, which provided linguistic support to American and Allied forces in the Pacific War Zone. And they served in the 1399 Engineering Construction Battalion, which served in Hawaii to rebuild Pearl Harbor and completed 54 construction projects that were critical to the defense of the islands against further Japanese invasion. Japanese women also served in the U.S. military. They all helped to forge the legacy from which Japanese Americans started to benefit and will continue to benefit in the future. In 1951, in his farewell speech, General Douglas MacArthur said that, quote, "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away," unquote. This may be said of the Japanese Americans who served in World War II, but we must not allow their legacy to just fade away. On this day of affirmation, we call on all Americans to embrace their legacy by keeping faith in America's values and its future, especially in the most difficult of times, as did the Nisei soldiers. We now honor the Japanese Americans who served in World War II and their legacy by laying a wreath at the Price of Freedom Wall. Each gold star on the Freedom Wall represents 100 United States soldiers killed in action during World War II. 8 of these stars are dedicated to the almost 800 Japanese Americans who were killed in action and the over 30 officers who served in the 442nd and who were killed in action. Their names are inscribed on the granite panels of the National Japanese American Memorial to Patriotism in World War II, located in Washington, D.C., near the Capitol. Lieutenant Colonel Brett Igusa, U.S. Army Reserve, is serving as the military escort and will carry the wreath to the Freedom Wall. Joining him will be Catherine Louette, daughter of Major Orville Shuri, who served with the 442nd. The other wreath bearer is Turner Kobayashi, son of Ki Kobayashi, who served in the Military Intelligence Service. Okay.